Why don't men show up? Okay, why aren't men showing up? Why aren't they changing? Why don't they want to help themselves? Men are emotional creatures. They're peculiar human beings with peculiar human traits. And I know that because I'm a man myself. And I wanted to go through three things or three reasons why I think that men will never change. Some men will go through the rest of their lives staying exactly the same. And it's important for us to bring these up so that you understand those three traits and you don't slip into them. Cool, so let's get into these. So the first one, the very first thing or reason, and in no particular order, why men will never change and they will continue their life cycle the way it's going until the day that they die is their story. Okay, their fucking story holds them in the same place forever. Okay, they've got it hard, they've had it hard, they're going through this, they've got that. Okay, the story that locks them down into the place that they'll remain for the rest of their fucking life, because they'll end up slipping into their pity party mentality and never allow themselves to break free and actually go and do something for themselves. Their story is what prevents them from reaching their potential. And that story could have been formed from a bad childhood, a bad experience, a bad breakup, and an unenjoyable life, fucking being fucked over, whatever it might be, okay, but it has led to the story that has stopped you being able to move forwards. Now, you'll have two choices. Number one, you can wallow in that story, or number two, you can try and climb out of the sandpit and start doing something for yourself. But somewhere along the way, you've got to change the story if you're going to reach your potential. Otherwise, you're going to spend a life of bitterness, misery, and unhappiness. And that's what you don't want. And it's important to be aware of that. Number two, more than anything, you're just a lazy fucker. You just can't be fucked to put the work in that's required to win. And usually, that is one of the biggest factors. It's just that you've built up for so long so many different lazy habits, so many uninspiring routines. You've convinced yourself with your narrative every single day that actually I'm just going to procrastinate. You become a serial procrastinator. And when you become a serial procrastinator, you become less and less active in terms of developing yourself personally and professionally. And in theory, all of that jargon means you're a lazy fucker and can't be fucked to do the work to show up and get the results that you want. You want the results, you want the lifestyle, you want to earn the money, you want the better jobs, you want the better relationships, but you just can't be fucked. Okay, and that's what it comes down to. And that laziness obviously is reflected in people. When we look at people's body shapes, I often look at that as a really good indicator in terms of the effort that they put into themselves and their body. And, you can see people walking around just being really fucking miserable. And it tends to be you're just fucking lazy. There's no two ways around it. And then the last one, the one that makes me want to strangle men when I work with them, okay? It's their fucking ego and pride. Oh, men's ego and pride, just so fucking, it's so frustrating because there is so much potential every single one of you have in terms of what you can achieve within your life, but you restrict yourself to the same fucking bullshit ego and pride mentality that you never do anything about it, right? Oh, fucking who is he to be able to tell me that I'm a lazy fucker and that my story's never going to change? It's the truth. And the minute you stop with your fucking ego and don't stop, and the minute you start looking in the mirror and going, I'm not good enough, I'm not fucking showing up, I'm not the husband or the man that my wife actually wants. Do you think your wife wants a fucking guy who never shows up, who fucking moans and complains all the time? That's not a leader. That's not inspiring. That's not going to lift her or want her to have sex with you or want her to be seen with you, let alone hang around with you. That's why so many fucking men get divorced, because they're so fucking disconnected and they're so driven by their ego and pride that they can't fucking let it go? Do you think you're being a role model to your kid by being like that? Do you know what I mean? So many of the guys that I'm in and around right now, they are the byproduct of their fucking parents who are in a generation that were fucking miserable. Don't fucking show emotion, can be weak, go out there and earn the money. Fuck off. That's the reason why so many men in my age category right now are struggling with that mental health. Because their ego and fucking pride, and they were surrounded by it by a child. And if you're ever going to change that, you're going to have to break the fucking pattern, because your kids don't want to be brought up like that. So you've got to have that conversation with yourself where you go, right, I've got to stop fucking the same story, I've got to stop being a lazy prick, and I've got to stop fucking running my life with my ego. Somehow, in the 21st century, we can't get Wi-Fi to work properly in our houses as well, which is another fucking rant I could go on about. But I'm not sure if this people still live or not, so I'm going to wrap up here, guys. Okay, just in summary, make sure, number one, that you change your story. Number two, make sure you stop being lazy. Number three, stop allowing your childhood to affect your ego and your pride in terms of the way that you show up. Okay, have an amazing 10 days. Take a really good look at yourself and ask yourself, are you showing up? There's still going to be loads of content going out, but there'll just be no live shows. And if you want to, I'll see you on the 20th. You're an adult. Okay, you can either take the advice or not. It's fucking your life, not mine.